Hello everyone, my name is FlareBlitzed and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. Things were a little bit hectic last time and I doubt it will ease that hecticness in this time around. The days since that event have passed so quickly that time seemed to slip through my fingers like water. Every time I've tried to talk to Shizune, she has been out running errands or with Misha. I feel as if she's avoiding me. I'm not surprised. Of course it bothers me, but I think the way she's acting seems pretty natural. Then again, it's not like I've been through this before. Whenever I can't find Shizune, I end up running to Misha. When I do, I ask her to help me with my signing. However, she was always end up squirming out of it. We're leaving after today, so I'm determined not to let her escape this time. Once we head back to school, we're probably going to have to start grinding through more student council affairs in preparation for school restarting. I want to brush up on my sign as much as possible by then, even if it's a day's worth. Come on, it's pretty much just having a couple of sign language conversations. You do have that all the time. Actually, you're doing it right now. Really, Hi-chan? That's funny. Misha temporarily stops her unconscious sign in order to wave her hands in front of her face in denial, but then quickly resumes gesturing everything but both of us are saying to no one in particular. Hi-chan, you're so persistent. Suddenly being interested in sign language again. Could it be that Hi-chan wants to make a career out of it? That's not fair. That was my idea first. You should be careful, Hi-chan. Times change too quickly. By the time I decide I want to be a sign language interpreter, they have cell phones that people could type out whole paragraphs on. Amazing! Not very good for me though. As if she knows that another deferral isn't going to cut it this time, Misha changed her tone pretty quickly to a more apologetic one. I'm sorry, Hai-chan. I'm just so tired. Especially lately, even though being with Shai-chan is fun, she has way more energy than me. That's the first time I've heard of that. Teaching on top of that would be too tiring. I don't have that much stamina, sorry. She doesn't seem very tired, shouting the same with her usual cheer and vigour. I know it's wrong for me to keep pestering her like this though. Actually, Shai-chan and I are planning on going shopping today. It's our last chance to pick up some souvenirs. Souvenirs, sir? I almost forgot that I was on vacation. I understand what you're saying. Teaching doesn't seem so easy. Hideaki asked me to teach him how to sign and I was unbelievably lost the whole time. Well, I wonder how it'll work out for you when you become a sign language teacher. You can't get tired too easily doing that. Yeah, right. I hope not. Hi-chan, now that I'm kind of worried, but souvenirs, so some other time. Hi-chan. Do you want us to get you something too? Just because I understand doesn't mean I don't want her to teach me. I suppose I can't press any further now, though. Even I'm bothered by how selfish it would seem to do so. I give up. No, don't get me anything. I'm serious. Don't surprise me with a funny shirt or something, okay? I don't like the sound of that. Slipping on her shoes, she yells goodbye to the otherwise empty house and opens the door to leave. Letting a cool breath of fresh air into the hallway, a tuft of dark hair peeking from the door frame tells me Shizune is waiting for her outside. Good morning. And Misha translates for me from beyond the doorway and Shizune turns around to give me a small wave, even though it's different from her usual offhand greetings in the smallest ways. There is an unmistakable hesitation there. It leaves me with a vaguely empty and distant feeling. Hi-chan, you're up early. Am I interrupting a conversation? I was trying to get Misha to teach me how to talk to you, but I guess I was being impatient and it can wait. You two are planning on going shopping today anyway. Having Misha there forgot to sign my words as I say them. Unfortunately, since Shizune moved to fill the doorway, Misha is behind her. This brief misalignment in our positions means that what I'm saying is totally lost on her. I don't understand you at all, even though you literally tied us to a chair a few days ago. There are things I want to say that I can't put in a way she would understand, and there are entire conversations that she could have that would go right over my head. I want to tell her now, but it won't be that way for much longer. Instead, just say, never mind, and tell them to have a good time, then wave them off. Seems like everyone is out for the day, so I sit down on the biggest and most comfortable looking chair in the living room with a book. Not a sign language book, but one of the novels I checked out of my library my first week. That was so long ago. I should really start chipping at that pile of books I borrowed, or at least return them. 16 pages in, Jiguro walks into the room. I'm not happy to see you. A stack of papers in one hand and his sword twirling idly like a bat on the other. casually shaking water from a recent shower from his hair. And, upon being seen doing something so ungentlemanly, he freezes like a deer in the headlights and slowly moves on to smouldering with powerful but baseless fury as he sits down on the couch a few feet away. This is only the third time I've met him and I'm already starting to feel nauseous of reaction. I guess in a way this could be considered a kind of charisma. I haven't even said anything and he already seems less than pleased. It's likely a bad idea to provoke him, and just talking to him may count as provoking him. However, I can't help thinking of the alternative solutions that could play out. Let's say I don't open my mouth at all and walk away. Maybe to go read in my room or outside. That would definitely go down as an unforgivable insult. He would probably tell me to hold it and destroy me. Either way, not too polite on my part. What are you reading? The draft for my autobiography. It is a story of a man who wakes up to find an uninvited guest in his living room, sitting in a chair and reading shadowy literacy dreck. I barely started reading my book. I don't even have an opinion on it yet. I can already see how this conversation is going to play out, so I might as well steer it in a different direction. Where's Hideaki? You even ask questions rudely. Disgraceful! That aside, why would you even ask me such a stupid question? How would I know? Am I my son's keeper? Well, you are his dad, and it seems like he does live here, but I guess I can't say that, tempting as it is. I give up. I already tried to make small talk of him and failed. It's like trying to talk to a brick wall that also hates you. This is my cue to leave and sift through my wallet to see if I have enough money to go to a movie. As I'm about to make a leave, I have second thoughts. I'm too tired to go through trying to smooth over my problematic situation by trying to continuously walk away from them. It's hypocritical for me to get upset at Misha for trying to differ things when I even run from... Okay, when Juro attempts to stop me, I'm almost glad, even though I no longer have any intention to leave. Wait. He says it with plenty of authority, but nothing else. As if it's just a particularly commanding afterthought. Only a very powerful, very arrogant man can tell someone to hold on in such a manner. I'm sort of impressed. You are on the student council with Shizune, aren't you? What is your job there? I don't think there are specific roles other than president. Shizune is always trying to round people up to help out here and there. Usually we might get like one person to pitch in, but otherwise 3 of us do whatever needs to be done. It's crossed my mind a couple of times around when I first met her that Shizune's disquietly analytical stare might be because of her deafness, but it turns out it's a trait shared by everyone else in her family. And that is okay with you? Why wouldn't it be? You, Shizune, and that pink-haired girl, is that really your entire student council? With a student council that small, they wouldn't even bother to hold elections. I'm going to take a guess and say that you didn't join the student council. Shizune drafted you into it. You say you do not know exactly what your title is. That makes sense. I suppose if you weren't even elected, you couldn't be expected to know. After all, if you're not elected, you aren't really anything. No one's going to respect a student council like that. An unelected body of 3 people trying to scrounge up the equivalent of temp workers. It must be a sorry school with 3 kids have a tea party can handle every issue. What's how small it is have to do with anything? If a student council gets things done, isn't that enough? It's not just a game either. Maybe you should actually come to the school one day. If you get there on the right days, you might even be able to see what Shizune is able to accomplish. Do you think that I have so much free time that I can afford to waltz over to your... What a disgusting human being. What you're saying is that they might as well not have a student council, but the fact remains there is one, and Shizune got elected to it, and for her it isn't a meaningless position. In fact, she works very hard for it. You sound like someone who voted for her. No, I wasn't there for that. You didn't even vote for her. Well, besides that, why don't you ask Hideyoshi about this? Shizune has wanted to be a high school student council president since middle school. She should have him read all her practice speeches, wasting his time. For what reason? This whole time he hasn't even looked up for thumbing through his manuscript. It's getting increasingly frustrating. Because it isn't a game. We don't run the school, but it's not like we're just playing at it and not taken seriously. What if it's so wrong to not be a purist? I have been to your school, really, the students there. I can already think about the million things he might say, and I'm preparing for my heart to sink on hearing of any of them. It's funny, there are probably things I've thought of before. They don't even have cleaning duty. That was not what I expected at all. He's also wrong. They do. I should know. I get to skip out on it since I'm in the student council. The concept of being wrong confuses Jigoro. I should take this opportunity to go on the attack. It's really odd that I am thinking this way about a simple conversation. It sounds like the last time you were there was really some time ago. If you can leisurely write some memoirs, you could talk to Shizune now and then. Don't you think she has stuff that she is proud of? That's how young people are. We have things to be proud of. If you're writing an autobiography, you should get that. Such an opportunity and I blew it. I don't know how I was expecting him to react. Maybe introspectively, but Jigoro only grows angrier by the second. Yet as he does this, he also seems calmer in a way. More sure of himself and in control. What do you think you are to assume that my life is so easy? You haven't even... We don't need to read your biography to tell you how much of an annoyance you are. Yet you are able to tell me how I should handle all my affairs, including deal with my own daughter. You could never understand. Even if I were to get up from this couch, walk over to you right now and punch you in the forehead with brass knuckles and with a condensed edition of my life story on them, leave my biography imprinted in your face, you would not understand. For 12 years, Shizune did not even talk to me, even though I hired multiple tutors and interpreters of all sorts for her to try and get her to become normal. You know very well that these kind of people are not what will help Shizune cure her deafness and muteness. In fact, nothing can. But yet you're here thinking that science can just cure everything. You're such a dickhead, Jigoro. You're such a dickhead. Like, there's no curing this kind of old man ideology. He does not want to bother with me, then fine, I assume that is normal. When was the last time you talked to your parents? It has been a while and I feel ashamed. More so that he caught me at how easily I could have dropped my parents a phone call, sent them an email or even a letter, and haven't. This knowledge only makes me feel more ashamed. I thought so. If I wanted to see my parents, I couldn't. This is different. You aren't that far away from her. It's one train ride away. That is enough. No means no. You are very persistent. If only it was about something that mattered. I can't see why you may have learned from my daughter aside from that about how to backtalk people. Is that it? The answer is yes. I wasn't this persistent or argumentative before meeting Shizune and Misha. After all, prior to meeting them, I just experienced a small death. It's a mystery as to why I refused to join the student council in the first place. Possibly it was from trying to get away from their nagging so much that I was able to get my energy back. It's a cute idea. I think again about why I'm still here. Arguing with Jigoro is pointless, yet I think I almost look forward to it. And he is right. I can't understand him. Even if I did, he wouldn't care. I'm a louse so cruel as a whale, wholly insignificant. He has a confidence that I don't have. Shizune does. And it could be that the reason why I'm here now in an almost shouting match with her father is because some of her bravery has rubbed off onto me. However, I don't have anything to keep it going. Still, I hate him. I hate him too. I don't know what I can do. A few months ago, I think I would have punched him and let the consequences play out as they may. But now I can't risk it. If he were to hit me back, he'd likely kill me. So in the end, the only thing I can do is look at Jigoro in silence, knowing that I have no reply, and hate him, and feel completely at a loss. All he takes in as defiance. Fine then. Have fun with that. Picking up his sword and using it to pull himself to his fate, he turns and casually saunters out of the room. I want to throw my book at him, after him, but I'm happy to finally be alone, even if I'm not in the mood to read any longer. Yep, horrible old man. That's what he is. An old man who is not fit for this world because his thought process is too old and is unable to keep up with the rest of the world. Yes! Finally, we no longer have to see him. Our return trip to the school keeps getting delayed in one way or another. Shizune and Misha come back so late that there's no use even leaving, and we end up staying another day. The morning after, we miss a train by a single minute, and then the next two don't arrive. We missed a fourth train because I wandered off to get a drink in the meantime. Shizune wasn't very happy about that. Well, eventually we do get back, which is nice. By the time I finally get back to my room, I feel so tired, even though I spent most of the ride back sleeping. I can't say it's only because of today. It seems like a familiar symptom of travelling. It's not the first time it's happened. At least we get to sleep in our own room. If no one has beaten me to it, I could do a thesis on it. Maybe get in a medical journal, returning from a trip syndrome. Not very creative. I fall asleep before I could think of a better name. And somebody is knocking on our door. Something tells me it might be Kenji. A loud knock on my door wakes me up only a few hours of my nap. I'm annoyed because I'd just been in the middle of a dream, but I can't remember having been woken up in the middle of the night, but I'm sure it was a good one. I briefly wonder who it could be, but it's not like I get many visitors, so I'm sure it's Kenji. Hope he is just rolling out the whole welcome wagon and not going to hit me up for money again. If that was the case, I'd almost be touched. Not touched enough to fight off the urge to roll over and go back to sleep, though. Okay. A few hours after that, I wake up again and immediately spot an envelope on the floor. It must be something that came in the mail while I was away. That's Shizune and Misha's department, so I wonder if they dropped by to give it to me, or maybe someone filled it in for them in their absence and told Keiji to pass it along. And it certainly is from one which we knew a few times ago. When I pick it up, any remnants of sleepiness in me instantly vanish. Even if the name of the sender wasn't on it, I would have known whom it was by looking at the envelope itself, realizing why it looked so familiar, by recognizing the delicate handwriting addressing it. It was from Iwanako. At first I can't believe it, but would it be too hard for her to track me down as she wanted? Of course I hadn't thought that she would want to. She was maybe my girlfriend for all of 5 seconds. All of 5 seconds. After that we barely spoke to each other. It'll be too easy to put this letter away somewhere and forget about it. A part of me wants to do that, or throw it away unread. Why I want to do these things? I don't know. It would be easy to do them. Easier than to read it. Sitting in the envelope open with the tip of a pen, I'm surprised by the length of the letter that spills out. We've already read this letter in Rin's one, so... And also as well, what I just noticed is that only certain parts are read out in other routes, possibly? And Rin's route is the only one in which he reads the letter fully. And also response as well. Trimester, other things. Truth is, at times, made you worried about you. Once somehow expressed my feelings, but right words didn't come to me at the time. What a convenient time for her to rediscover her sincerity. Well, even as I think that, I know she's right. Distant and disheartened is a good way to describe it. And maybe I had given up too. It weighs in my heart when I think back to when I was lying in the hospital, feeling so bitter when she finally stopped showing up. I wasn't surprised, and I'd no right to be. How could she not stop coming when it was the only expectation I had of her? She dropped by only for all of the 6 weeks after... Okay, she dropped by for... only for all of the 6 weeks after the incident. If I drifted away from her, it was because I could feel her already moving herself away from me the moment she showed up. If I could go back to those days in February and March, tell myself not to give up. Times, unfortunately, separate people. It's a strange thing. I know that I'm never going to hear from her again. If she really wants to keep in touch, she wouldn't have picked a medium like snail mail to do it through. If she could get my address, then my email or phone number wouldn't have been much more work had she wanted them. This is only a goodbye. I exhale, only just now becoming aware that I have been reading with bated breath. Now who's been distant? Iwanako? But maybe it really is for the best. For her to pick up a pen and write this letter to me, it can only be because she felt guilty about how things ended. That she was hurt by how we floated out of each other's lives makes me feel a sort of wistful happiness. I almost want to thank her, and I only don't because I know she wouldn't want me to reply. There's a knock on my door, but it opens anyway. About a minute second later, I forgot to lock it stupidly. Sup, man? Why is your door open? I went to the door faster, and it's probably medically safe for me to do so I can prevent Kenji from seeing the mountain of piles just a couple of feet away from him, blocked from his sight only by the door. Then there's the letter I'm holding. If he asks about it, I don't think I can make up anything convincing. About 2 feet away from him, I realised that his vision is so bad it was probably never an issue. He didn't even see me about to practically tackle him back through the door frame. Hey, what the hell, man? Who are you talking about? Your room has 1 billion locks in it, yet you just barged right through other people's doors. You don't even wait a second after knocking before you try the door. It was like simultaneous. You were already opening the door while you were knocking on it. Oh dear. I throw the letter on the dresser behind me and turn to leave. Swing the door shut behind me as I do it. Collides against the tip of Kenji's shoes and bounces back open. Oh, for goodness sakes, just leave me be. I don't want you here. The grounds are mostly deserted today, which is a shame because it's so nice outside. No one answers when I knock. I try to go in anyway, but it's locked. When I pull my hand away from the doorknob, it's covered in dust. It looks like no one's been here since we left. Since I'm already out here and dressed, I might as well get something to eat in town. My wallet is back in my room, though. On my way back there, I stumble across Misha sitting down behind the main building. It looks more like she's sleeping there, for goodness sakes. Her eyes are closed in sleep, and she looks very tranquil. It's always been hard to picture her not constantly bouncing around or hopping on the tips of her toes impatiently. My first instinct is to call her out to her and ask her if she has seen Shizune or if she wants to go to town with me. But now that I've seen her, I don't feel like disturbing her. I'll leave her alone. Another day dawns. Because this is how classes go about at this point in time. Huge amounts of the story is skipped through, it feels like. For the first few days after I was back, I almost forgot I was in the student council. I managed to pick up here and there that the student council usually gets swamped with work around the end of a break, but it didn't have to be the case. The few times when I managed to catch Shizune or Misha, they were in too much of a hurry for me to get a chance to ask if they needed help. Anytime they weren't, I'd only be able to get a hold of Misha. Shizune would say something about how there was work, but it was so little that involving either Misha or I would only bore us. After a while, the idea of having some free time again started to grow on me, though there were still periods when I felt like I had too much of it. Just when I was getting used to it though, things changed again. Now I find myself back in the student council room, arguing with Shizune about whether tissue boxes make good ballot boxes or not. I'm telling you, they work just fine as long as we get the cube-shaped ones, not the rectangular ones. Misha, can you sign that to her? I've kind of got my hands full. On second thought, forget it. She's busy, cutting out ballot slips, so if she were to make one errant movement, she would probably send those scissors flying to someone's head. I drop a box of poster paints I'm carrying onto my little table in the student council room, and cough as a wave of dust hits me in the face. It really has been a while. Do you think we should change the size of the ballot slips? What? Besides, Jen already cut out so many of them. We can make them smaller, it'll be more efficient. We should have to shrink the font. More ballots would fit in a single box that way. We don't need half the amount of paper then. The format for voting can be changed. It could be more or less like a real election. Then we might be able to get away with buying less boxes. With money left over, we can get a pizza, or maybe Chinese, a cake, or 3 bowls of a new ramen bar I want to try. Shizune excitedly rubs a finger along the frame of her glass. She ponders more ways to cut even a half yen or spending off our budget. Since I think she is the only one who even knows what our budget is, I'm scared to ask just how tiny it is for her to have to do this. What about all the ballet slips Misha's already cut out? Don't worry, I can make them into memo pads and sell them in the school store. Shizune, they don't look very cute though. Shizune seems to disagree. Now they're arguing, but it looks like it consists of nothing more than saying yes they do and no they don't at each other until they're so tired of it they're just taking turns pointing at each other commandedly. It's strange, partially because it looks kind of ridiculous, but also because I've never seen them disagree. Then again, both of them have looked very stressed these past few days. Shizune has been increasingly absorbed in the idea of student council elections, though they're months away. I imagine this is how politicians act when they realize a regime change is imminent and their era is over. I'm having trouble taking student council matters seriously at all. Even now, as I practice my choreography on signs that won't go up for weeks, but I can understand why Shizune does. After all, she has been the student council president for 3 years. According to her dad, she had wanted the job for even longer. I guess 3 years is too short a career for her to leave feeling satisfied. Did the last student council go through this much trouble to make it a smooth transition for you? Shizune makes a chagrined face that tells you they weren't very helpful at all. I guess you're doing all this to set a good example then. That only comes into play if they learn anything from it, Hai-chan. If they don't, I'll be hyper mad. If they turn out to be the flaky type, I'll definitely be hard on them. It doesn't sound very threatening when Misha is saying it. So you've already met them? Hai-chan, there are no candidates yet. What? None? Not even for student council president. That is why I'm trying to drum up interest for the position. What do you think? She proudly holds up a poster that has been working on herself. She has been working on herself. It looks very, military. Oh gosh. Not that particular one. You might be taking this a little too seriously then. Shizune frowns and plays with her glasses, offended. Is that weird? Yes. She looks oddly happy that I'm disagreeing with her. And I think that if she weren't generally focused on what she was doing, she would try to argue with me just because it would be interesting to her. What's weird about it? It looks like she would do that after all, but then Shizune waves her hands dismissively like she is trying to catch the words in the air and delete them. Instead, she catapults into insulting her future successors. Well, one thing that's weird is that in my old school the elections would happen in about 6 months since, you know, we're graduating in March. It's pretty weird to think about them so early. It's a little different here. Hai-chan, I'll be discouraged if we don't have any replacements when I have to go, Sai-chan says. But it isn't like the school will stop running without student council. It'll be harder for them to hand out forms though. Shizune isn't laughing, however. Misha's joke causes her to flinch, and if she were stunned, though Misha didn't mean for it to come out that way, her quirk had a cautious cruelty to it in the end. Yes and no. I'm trying to get more people to run, but everyone is so lazy that they think they can just take it easy because no deadlines yet. Slackers, not taking the early game advantage. You sound just like your father, Shizune. Minus the fact that, well, the addition that you actually can empathize with other people, whereas him and his old man way of ideologyism is really backwards and dead. Still 6 months away? If they aren't making their move now, they don't deserve a vote. Do they really think it's such an easy job that they can do everything at the last minute and just coast into the role? Insulting, really. They're going to be eaten alive once they have to sit at this tiny desk and see just how much work they have to do. If this were a real election, they would be in deep trouble. I was reading about Japanese campaign laws the other day, only the bad ones for some reason. For a second, Shizune was talking like her father there, and it was coming out of Misha's mouth. Creepy. Well, first off, Shadow Shogun, you can't really make that call. They'll be elected. Second, it's just a school election. It's like running for city council or the diet. I don't think Japanese campaign laws apply. Third, although I don't want to say I'm nervous that Shizune is so enthusiastic about this, talking of elections and votes. According to her dad, she wasn't even elected herself. Come to think of it, I can't remember Shizune ever saying she was elected either. Then did she get this position by being recruited by student council and having it fall apart until she was the only one left? Somehow I'd never considered it. Sounds like the occult club for missing time. Like everybody else left, but only one person remained, who was at the center of the crimes. I don't know what to think about that, but it wouldn't surprise me. We're only 3 people strong now. If the circumstances behind her becoming the student council president were that sad, I wonder if there will be a vote at all. Interest could just be that low, or non-existent. Really, then all her energy would be going towards nothing. I slap an exclamation mark on the end of a poster I'm working on. It's a little plain, so I think adding 1 is okay. Actually, it still might be a little too plain. I'll make the mark twice as large. I still say you need to slow down. If this stuff isn't going to be relevant for months, maybe you're working a little too hard on it? That's what I think. You're worrying too much. I don't know how to sign the word relevant. I try, and only end up flickering a long line of paint where I don't intend to. There's no way I can fix that. Misha, can you ask her that? Misha giggles slightly, clenching her teeth so that no sound actually comes out. Because there is a lot to worry about. Like what? Like, usually the boxes end up looking very pretty, so people take them. Have to plan for that. We should make them funny looking this time, then, so no one would take them. How about that, Shai-chan? That's counterproductive. We can draw some weird faces on them, or we could put a little picture of Shizune on each one saying Steen is wrong. No, it's not funny. It's not the only problem either. This is voter turnout, of course. And then the worst case scenario would not be having any candidates. Although it seems she meant it jokingly, from the way she smiles she signs it, this isn't how it comes out. Even Misha understands that the possibility is very real, and though she tries to salvage the mood by punctuating Shizune's statement with a laugh, it doesn't work. What is wrong with both of you? I was just making a joke. There actually is some interest this year. If there wasn't, would I be doing all this work? I'm not stupid. We're not saying that you are. When the elections are over, I'll buy everyone dinner. I'm already planning it. Even the new student council? No, they can buy their own celebration dinner. It will only be for the current student council. I'll be happy once I'm through having to do these thankless jobs all the time. A dinner just for us? Yay, it's like a little party, Sai-chan. Though her cheerfulness is obviously false. I say nothing. For the rest of the period, which fortunately isn't very long, we work in silence. And after classes, I find the student council room locked. It's strange because Shizune was so busy earlier, but I would expect her to continue working after school. It would be what she would normally do. Maybe she listened to my suggestion and decided to take a break. I'm hoping it's that simple. Feeling a little uneasy, I take a brief stroll around the school. It's only half conscious. I can't remember when I started moving my feet, but I've already covered enough of the campus. I'm starting to feel tired, not that it means anything now. Just a short stroll around the school grounds, and I'm already winded. Really pathetic. Before I know it, I'm back in front of the student council office. There's someone else too, this time. Hi, Chan. It's locked. Seeing a can of lemonade in her hand, I reflexively start looking for a vending machine nearby. I'm so thirsty. I know that, Hi-chan. Shai-chan is somewhere else, I guess. Weird. We are stuck together, Hi-chan. Misha takes a long drink of her... Wait a minute. Aunt? What do you mean you aren't? We're both the only ones here, so we are stuck together. Eventually just tipping it over and pouring the rest of it into her mouth. I feel like I'm being mocked. Do you want one, Hi-chan? No, it's okay. I can't take someone else's drink. It's rude. Besides, you're making fun of me, aren't you? I just saw you inhale all of that. I have another one in my bag. I was prepared, see? See, I'm just like Sai-chan. She's a little too prepared. It's good some of that is rubbing off on you anyway. After what, 2 years? The way she stares at me as I drink is a little disconcerting, but I'm too grateful to care about it much. You and Shizune always end up treating me to something. It's starting to embarrass me. Really? Hi-chan? Buy me lunch sometime then, okay? Then we'll be even. Well, it's funny you should say that. I was going to ask if he wants to eat in town. Yeah, I'm really hungry today, Hi-chan, thanks. Yesterday, I was going to ask her. Yesterday. Misha cuts me off before I can finish the sentence, and I can't find an opening to correct her as she dashes enthusiastic around me, laughing, her arms flapping excitedly at her sides. I already have my wallet with me, so I start walking towards town with Misha trailing behind me, playing idly with her hands and loudly wondering to herself where we should go eat. At least I think so. She could be asking me. Do you have anywhere specific you would want to go? I want to go to the tea house, but they have a really big path right there. I saw you eat a path right there last time. It looks really big. No, this one is really big. It's also really expensive. Really expensive? A little, jeez, well, you and Shizune paid for my food a bunch of times, so it's fine. Hi-chan, I don't think I ever did that. Are you sure it wasn't just Shai-chan? Are you really arguing against a free meal? Don't worry about it. We go to the Shanghai and are seated by a waitress who is surprisingly not Yuko. Misha is very eager to eat the pathway because she shouts her order as soon as she walks through the door. When it arrives, I can see that it's both very big and very expensive looking. Aren't you going to order anything, Hai-chan? If you're hungry, we can share. Now, I don't like pathways. I don't like praline. You can pick it out. You can't just pick out praline. Don't be silly. Even though I could, Misha is mashing her food together to a point where it is no longer possible. It also looks kind of gross. I wonder if that many flavors can even blend together well. Can she really taste anything in that gulp? She is acting like it's delicious anyway. Pathways are the best. I have sensitive teeth, so ice cream is a no-no. Cake is too soft though, and if there's too much icing, I get I get bored. Pathway is interesting. How many cafes have pathways here? I think 10? I've tried them all. I like this one the best. It has a little flan. You sound like you're some kind of dessert expert. Not just dessert. I want to eat all kinds of delicious things. Sometimes I have enough money to buy a 2 kilogram Matsusuka beefsteak. That's like over 100,000 yen. I guess it's kind of decadent food is kind of your hobby then, huh? A hobby isn't something that should take months to learn about someone. I've been very rude in retrospect. Also, this is one pricey hobby. I guess so. Decadent? Yeah. Misha giggles, raising her hand to her face. It looks like some ice cream accidentally got onto her nose. She doesn't notice it, but I can't stop noticing. I wish she would wipe it off. I'm about to tell her about it, but she suddenly says, I don't know what that means. I guess it's a bad word anyway. It has implications. Epicurean is better. It means someone who enjoys eating nice food. That's the adjective though. So, epicure is the word for it. Hey Chan, you're too wordy. Sorry. I think that is what Shai-chan likes about you. Because I'm wordy? I'll need to buy some thesauruses then. No, not like that, Hai-chan. I decided to order some coffee after that, but it takes a while to get the waitress to notice, and I think actually getting my coffee will take about as long. The tea shop is filling up. No surprise, we've already been here for almost an hour while she was chipping at the dessert. I ordered my coffee to go, but Misha orders one as well, so it seems that we're going to be here longer than I thought. I really wish it was that easy. It's hard to talk to her lately. Shai-chan's been busy because of the elections. I know we can't have fun all the time. It's just that there's a lot I want to say to her, I think. I always screw up when the time comes, though. And don't even have the time now because of the elections. But not for a while, though. Hai-chan, do you think Shai-chan is avoiding you? In my heart, yes. Misha sounds angry. That's to be expected, but I don't feel that way at all. No? Is that so? The dreamy way in which she says it makes me think that Misha is disappointed with my answer. In that case, it could be how she feels. I'm uneasy asking such a question, but I trust Misha would answer it honestly. Otherwise, I wouldn't even dream of it. Do you? No, of course not, Hai-chan, but it's frustrating sometimes. Shai-chan has so much energy and is always trying to make people feel as excited about things as she is. But it's like Shai-chan doesn't know how to handle things when everyone gets really hyped up, or I think that she wants to make sure nothing goes wrong. When I want to help out, Shai-chan always pushes me away. It's frustrating. I'm just overthinking it probably. Right? We think like that as well. Misha takes a big gulp of her from her cup of coffee, then sticks out her tongue. Ah, hot, hot, hot. Thought it would have cooled down by now. Has it really been that long? Especially without milk. I checked my watch. Hasn't been very long at all, but looking outside, the sun is already starting to set. Not really, huh? It's got dark out there pretty quickly today, though, so I could understand why you might think that. At my words, Misha looks outside and yawns almost immediately. She looks sleepy. That's funny because... Are you sleepy? You were wide awake like just 2 seconds ago. I feel tired when it gets dark, Hai-chan. Just like that? Are you a bird? I pick up my own coffee and have a sip. It's not very hot at all, but very tasty. Coffee is definitely tasty. You're either a coffee person or a tea person. Plot twist, I'm a coffee person. I down as quickly as possible because now I want to get back to my dorm room as well. Misha tries to emulate me, but it's still too hot for her. While I wait for her to finish, I start to wonder what she meant back then about Shizune liking something about me. Suddenly I'm very curious, but dragging their back up now feels like an unnecessary action. I try to weigh down the option again, but am interrupted by Misha slamming her empty cardboard cup down the table with a loud thud. Done! She lets out a short laugh, seeming very pleased with herself, kind of like a toddler. I wonder if she had that drill-shaped haircut when she was little too, or was it something more like a current look? It would make more sense. I guess we should head back now then. I can't see the waitress trying to fall asleep while I pay for the sundae, okay? Not a sundae, it's a pathway, Hai-chan. You have ice cream on your nose. Good. Now it's time to wake up. Lovely days as we transcend the day into something else, which is what is called another day. In class the next afternoon, I'm 2 problems into a math logic worksheet when a folded up piece of paper hits me in the head. I'm sure I know whom it's from, but I quickly look around the classroom anyway just in case. No one in this classroom is good at acting casual. I could tell that everyone saw who threw it at me, and looking at the copper herself, it was obviously Shizune. She isn't even trying to be coy about it. The countryside is so different. At my old school, I have no idea who it was right now. Open up the note, it says, Misha is absent. Help me out today after school. I don't understand what's with that note. Why can't you just use sign language? Exactly. Waving our hands about in the classroom. But then again, that could look kind of weird. A large part of how I learned sign language was by copying Misha's style of signing her words as she speaks, so I end up blurting the sentence out loud as I sign it to Shizune. A slight laugh goes across the room. How awkward. I'll help if I don't have to do a lot. That's silly. Obviously, if Misha is absent, you have to help as much as 2 people. I don't know if that really means anything after all. Misha was complaining yesterday mostly about how Shizune wouldn't let her help her. I don't do much as is either. After pretending to think it over for a bit, I wrote her a note back telling her I will. I'm actually happy that she asked me, because I've been meaning to talk to her for a while. It's a good opportunity, but I feel I should at least make it look I'm putting up some resistance to the idea. I go back to my worksheet and immediately get stuck on the 3rd problem. After trying to work around it, I casually toss my own note over to Shizune. It says, why is Misha absent? And what's the answer to question 3? She told me that she was sick and her stomach hurt. Misha gets stomach aches a lot, but I wish she picked a better time for it this week. The large pathway must have done it. Use sign language. I think she has a stomachache because of the way she sucked down a pathway larger than her head the other day. If she gets them quite often though, either it's a coincidence or she has a habit of eating things that can put her in deliberating pain. I noticed the teacher staring at us disapprovingly. I don't blame him. We're talking in class and with sign language in quite a visible and distracting way. I try clearing my throat to back out of our conversation, but Shizune doesn't get the hint. Well, obviously, before I can try to get a message across again with my hands, however, I can see Shizune notices what's up, she just doesn't care. Do you still want to know the answer to question 3? I will tell you, but you have to give me the answer to question 25. Hey, I was just thinking about how a teacher who doesn't know sign language could think we were abusing it and using it to cheat, sorry. If you were to assume the worst, I can't believe you actually doing that. And I'm not up to question 25. You wanted to know what the answer to 3 was. You asked first, hypocrite. You're the student council president, you can't cheat. And neither can a student council member cheat. Or a student teach. Altogether. Student council president. Student council member. Student. I don't have time for this. And I think I'm trying the teacher's patience to the breaking point. I'd like to continue taking pot shots at her while working on the math problems in front of me, but it would require at least 2 extra hands. Shizune is a bit more creative and gets around this limitation by using long, semi-broken strings of simpler words. I take a couple of mental notes in between being dizzled by a couple of particularly long equations. Right before the bell rings, she caps her pen and triumphantly slams it on her desk with an ear-popping crack that makes the whole room jump. Quickly forgot it because everyone would rather go to lunch break and question its origin. After a couple of brief stretches, she gets up and hovers around my left shoulder. Are you still not done? I was going to ask if you wanted me to help in yours too, while I was up. Someone distracted me. I had to beg the teacher to give me 9 minutes between now and the end of passing to finish it. It's not easy to solve this one-handed while having a conversation, by the way. He wasn't happy with the request, wants to get out of here as much as I do. Since I'm only one problem away from finishing, it looks like Shizune doesn't really believe me. The second I'm done handling it, I find myself being dragged to the student council room. Dragged by the ears eerily and annoyingly clean. I can't find what I was working on yesterday. Where is everything? I did some cleaning. That doesn't tell me anything. Seriously, you forget where you even put the stuff you put away. Oh well, if I can't find it, I guess I'll just go home. It's in the drawers right there. No, it's a strategy in order to get Shizune to forcefully talk on what the question was originally. Shizune sulks as I pull out the posters I was working on, and then shuffle them around a little. Since she stacks them by colour, it's not that I'm taunting her, I just have my own system, although I doubt she would believe me if I were to tell her. I like it when things are a little messy, it's more natural and a time saver. It's all right where I left it, and I don't have to go looking through shelves just to find what I was working on yesterday. Lazy. It's called being organised in a way. If I know that one thing is where I left it the day before, then we can quickly resume it afterwards. Calling me lazy, for goodness sakes. I don't have a photographic memory. That's not true, I'm not lazy, you just always go too far. I quickly glanced at her desk. A memo pad neatly placed in one corner, behind it a small desk calendar with each box filled with notes in a neat but microscopic handwriting, because it is a little calendar after all. On the right, 3 boxes of pens in blue, black and red. Look, you even put the pens back in their original box at the end of each day, all color coded and everything. I don't think that can even be called being a neat freak. What do you want to do with them? Throw them in a mug on your desk? Hey, I think that's been organized enough. You're so disorganized, you can't even comb your hair down properly. That hurts. It's not like I don't try, it just won't stay flat. I pick up a box of pens and quickly pop it open to see if she also puts them in so they all face in the same direction. She understands what I'm thinking and doesn't look very amused. It turns out the box wasn't closed properly on the bottom, and as soon as I pick it up, then immediately pour out like a waterfall. My fault, I'll get them, don't worry. I bend down to pick up the pens, forgetting that with her attention focused on them, she couldn't have possibly seen me sighing to her. Shizune's head bumps into my chest, not very hard, but unbalances me enough to make me fall over. I laugh it off and expect her to do the same when she stiffens and backs away from me instead. A feeling of dread begins to creep over me. This is a weird reaction. I start to think about why she would have such a strange reaction. It's pretty obvious. She just bumped headfirst into someone with a heart condition. How would she know that, though? Does she know all of the conditions of the students throughout the school? Shizune would know I have one, having seen the rows and rows of pills lying the edge of my dresser, but you never told her that's the reason why you have those pills in the first place, because of your heart, because you didn't want them to know. Or at the very least, she would know that I have something severe enough to require that much medication, but not visible at a glance. So she is treating me like I'm made of glass. First, the natural way to react. I had forgotten how she freaked out back when Emmy knocked into me. Why would it be any different to her? I'm sure she is remembering that right now. I can see it on her face. She looks angry at herself. It would be a good opportunity to bring up that time. Even though I don't want to drag that back up, it would be a good idea to. It would clear the air. Still, I'm afraid, and never saying nothing, partially because as I imagine having to draw her attention from the floor, and then having to sign what kind of a "you're not a cripple, I am" to her one gesture at a time. The idea begins to seem more and more depressing. Taking a seat, I decide just try to finish up these posters to get my mind off of it. There are some that I don't remember making, from the wall-to-wall text and ultra-neat handwriting. I can tell Shizune must have done these. That means that the remainder must have been done by Misha. They are a lot more visual, with cute little stylized pictures of us on them. I don't know how I feel about being used as a mascot character, but I'm not really thrilled by it. Some time passes, long enough for the sun to start setting. I hear Shizune putting down her pen and cracking her knuckles methodically, one at a time. It's so loud in the silence of the room that I look up, wonder if she is trying to get my attention. Although it wasn't what she intended, when she noticed me looking at her, Shizune begins to sign without skipping a beat. Let's take a break. I'm surprised you would say that. It's okay, I'm almost done anyway. And I'm hungry, aren't you? A little. I'm really hungry. We could order something. I was thinking of you. I already have something to eat. Where? She produces a cinnamon bun from under her desk, raising it to her head level slowly, like a magician levitating a rock. But there's only one, not enough for both of us. Ah, how dramatic. I can tell what this means. Athena deja vu briefly washes over me. We could just split it. That's no fun. So boring. Let's play shogi for it. She already has the board out. That desk must have everything in it. Not chess? Chess has boring promotions. This is better. I don't know about that. Well, I'm actually pretty decent at shogi, so this is fine. Is that so? Okay, we can make it a little more interesting then. Each move has to be completed in 30 seconds. You can add a rule too. No thanks. Anything I could add would only hurt me more than it would help. A 30-second time limit is already too tight for me. You're making me regret thinking it was alright to brag a little. After Shizune wins a right to go first in a quick coin toss, she immediately starts playing with the aim of promoting all of her pieces as soon as possible. It seems like a very basic playstyle. I can't help thinking it might be a trap of some sort. It's not though. The draw of this game to Shizune appears to be the fact that she can upgrade her pieces and steal mine. She's very good at it, but it makes me feel it makes her predictable. I end up doing a little better than I expected to. The 30-second time limit is pretty painful though. The game ends in a draw. At this point, I think you're supposed to either go for a rematch or tally the pieces for points. Shizune doesn't want to go again in the time of interest, but winning on points clearly doesn't satisfy her. She sits there, shifting a silver general from one edge to the other as she contemplates which of these two options she'll go for. It takes her long, but I think she's forgotten about the bet. Eventually she starts fiddling with a shogi piece and puts it down. Is Misha angry at me? That really came out of nowhere. Shizune's frankness is disorientating. Like, where did that meteor come from? Because with her, any kind of candor is a sign of total seriousness. There is no playful smile on her face. Instead it's a usual stoic mask of concentration, ready to try to see if I'm about to tell her the truth. I'm upset that she thinks I would tell her anything else, but I also know now that they probably fought recently, out of my sight, and it makes me feel warm to know that they both care about each other so much. No, I strongly doubt it. Do you know that she thinks you're angry at her? Shizune nods slowly and uncomfortably. Yes, she was more roundabout with the question than you. Kind of surprising, because I thought that you were the one who liked playing games. Not all the time. Are you two having some kind of a fight? No. She was very quick to deny it, and not happy with the thought. I feel like I've stepped on a landmine. Sorry, actually, yes, just a tiny one. I know that she has no interest in shooting castle. She only joined because of me. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy she's my friend, but I don't understand what she is upset about this time. Why don't you just ask her? She won't tell me. I'll figure out myself instead. I was sure that I was very perspective, even if I can't hear. That was dumb. I know better now. It is probably something that is my fault. Shizune doesn't elaborate further on what it could have been. I'm sure that it is because she does not fully understand the situation herself. It is odd to think that Shizune, usually so sure of everything, could be scared by a little argument with her friend, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. They are a lot closer to each other than normal friends, and Shizune is pretty isolated from other people in a way, but the fact that she is deaf and mute is no small part of it. but I get a feeling that she uses Misha as a buffer between other people for her own will, not just because it's been forced onto others. She can't communicate well enough with her little pad. She just hates it. After such a long time of talking through another person, I guess you start to lose touch. It seems unavoidable. It isn't such a far out idea to think that she isn't that great with people. I return to working, kind of wants to eat that cinnamon bun more as time drags on, but when I count the shogi pieces still left out on Shizune's table, I could tell at a glance she would win. I'm also too hungry to concentrate if we have to have a rematch. Motivated by my desire to wrap up and eat something, I put the finishing touches on the last of the posters. Done! I think this many is enough. Too many can be a bad thing. Okay. That's it? Just okay? I'll probably do some myself after I'm done packing what voting format to go with. Ugh, too many posters are bad too. Have you ever heard of oversaturation? I really think you're trying too hard. Tensing her fingers, Shizune looks like she could almost admit it. Maybe. It's what Misha thinks too. Is that probably why things are going how they're going? I watched her fingers continue uneasily twinning around and pulling each other in a miniature tug of war. I don't mind, but I asked around in a couple of classes today and interest is low. It's like you said. So, does that make it wrong? No, but it does make it kind of pointless. There's a difference between wrong and pointless. And I don't think it is entirely pointless. It's not. Yeah, but to who? I doubt even Shizune truly believes that. I'm not doing all this work just for my own ego. That isn't what I mean. The first chance to be alone with her in days, and I've already really cocked it up. Still, she doesn't actually look angry. It's more she's frustrated that she can't express herself clearly enough. Since she's an expert in sign language, I wouldn't think that would be the case. I wonder what advantage being able to speak would offer her, and if she has ever thought about it. It's another project of mine, just like the festivals. I'm going to do it because it's my job. It's just that a student council election isn't as fun as a festival, so no one cares. I can understand that, yes, elections are not fun, period. But festivals are fun. And seeing the fruits of your labour for a festival, you can clearly see the fruits of your labour. But with student councils and elections and stuff like that, you can't really see the fruits of your labour in an election. Unless of course you are particularly politically excited about something, which is non-existent. She briefly touches her fingertips together as if to say, but maybe. There is some truth to it, but Shizune doesn't want to say anything that could be boiled down into something so glib. But I don't care, I want to get people riled up. But it isn't about me. I don't want to be involved at all. What do you mean? You go to like every single festival? Shizune waves her hand in mock indignation. Well, I have to have fun too, but you know it's not the same thing. Her spirits seem to have improved if she can manage to crack a joke. I don't want anyone to make a point of me being involved. It's a hassle. I don't want that responsibility. Things are becoming too complicated now as is. The more I try to hype up the elections, the more involved I have to be. No one wants to play their hand yet, and it doesn't feel like my time is over, even though it should. Crossing her arms and leaning back, she grinds her teeth together in frustration. They're all so lazy. It's impossible to get them to do anything. Anywhere else, the elections would be an exciting event. It's illogical. Why does everyone have to be so different? If only there was some way to punish them. Like chaining the school to their desks? Voting is mandatory. If you don't vote, you get whipped. You sound just like your father. Terrifying. I wonder how hypocritical it would be if I were to stay in bed on election day with a flu and a cold and strep throat and a sprained ankle. You should put yourself on one of those. Not as punishment, don't misunderstand. I hold up one of Misha's posters. Like this. It's kind of a neat idea. Misha was onto something. It's a lot cuter than just text. I think you would like it. Having cute mascots would drum up some excitement. Because it's not just text, it's something visual as well. Not just words. Words themselves are plain and boring. You have to attract people. Maybe if it's just Misha. Why not me? Someone told me that this school has slightly more girls than boys. You have to cater to that demographic too. Shizune giggles, orderly this time. I'm surprised, and when she sees my face, so is she. Her face flushes pink, embarrassed to have let out a sound, which is really confusing to say the least. Why don't you put yourself on it? She just waves my question away. It's troublesome. What do you mean troublesome? Everyone knows that you're in the student council. My stomach growls, making me realize I'm hungrier than I thought. Shizune uses the moment to deflect my question by changing the subject. Is something wrong? No, my stomach growled. I see. She looks at the forgotten page on her desk and frowns, finding it inadequate for 2 people. Let's go to the Shanghai. If you are that hungry, it might be a little busy this late. But Yuko is working there today. We will definitely get a table. There is something worryingly unhanded in that smile. I'll pass. I've already been there twice this week, back to back. Shizune pouts, leaned back against her desk and scrunched up her posture in protest. What? I'm disappointed you said no. Well, I can't agree with you on everything. You don't give your opinion often enough anyway. It would be easiest for me if it was like that, but not very interesting, right? There are some decisions you should disagree with me on. Then, you have a duty to. How am I supposed to know which is which? It's easy. No, it's not. Sometimes it's hard for me to tell whether you're joking or serious. Although since she communicates entirely in sign language, it seems pretty obvious. I wouldn't say that there's all there is to it, though. I remember when I had my heart attack, Iwanako would stop talking. At first. Eventually, I wish that she would just shut up. Ouch. Or I would have. If I hadn't been happy to have any kind of company at all. Gradually, I stopped being so grateful. When we talked, I felt like there was nothing more than rationalized exchanges of politeness. Iwanako tried extremely hard to obfuscate how she felt, which was that I was hopeless. In the end, her outer behavior matched her inner feelings. For that reason, I was able to accept it. When one day she stopped showing up, I was no longer surprised by the time it happened. Even though she considered herself a master at hiding her feelings, I was not surprised. I've heard that games like shogi and chess can tell you a lot about a person. I wish I knew what Shizune thought they said about me. It could be that I'm a little more like Iwanako than I like to think. If only I could only tie with Shizune by retreating. I suggest that we should order out. This is getting quite dark quite quickly, actually. Like from Shizune's father being one thing to Misha and Shizune's, like, fight or spat. The next day I walk up to my usual vending machine at lunch only to find this out of my favourite drink. Secreted so far away from most of the classrooms between a storeroom and a library. It's like no one knew about it. I'd expected the vending machine so close to the library to be booming with customers, but then again the library is empty most of the time and anyone who goes there is only doing it to look for stuff to pad a paper with. No one stays there longer than they absolutely have to. For the past month, it's been working out in my favour. The trade-off with a vending machine no one knows about is that it's never restocked. Settling for a can of orange soda, I decide on drinking it here instead of waiting until I get to the cafeteria. When the library door opens next to me, Yuko? I've been looking for you. Is it about the books? Yuko seems to be acting a lot more assertive than usual today, although it isn't enough to keep her from going back to mumbling immediately afterwards. Return your books, please. I mean, the library books. The books you checked out are really overdue. Some of them are on waiting lists. Oops, I forgot. I keep checking out new ones. I forgot to return the old ones. That happens to me all the time at the university library, so it's so embarrassing. Do they send someone to try and get you to bring back? No, the university library is bigger. They don't notice if I happen to borrow something longer than normal. It's convenient because their policy on keeping the books too long is really strict. Stricter than here. I like how despite what she said, Yuko has no problem with borrowing books for longer than she is supposed to anyway. It makes her being so on top of my own lateness a little hypocritical. It takes a thief, I guess. Catching on to the meaning of her words around the same time I do, Yuko clams up and starts backpedaling furiously. That's different from the situation. It's only different. Yuko stares at her nails for a second as if she really wants to bite them, but is too self-conscious to do so. For instance, how long has it been? You checked out some of these books months ago, Hisao. Sorry, it's just that other people want to read them too. If you're a slow reader, that's okay though. No, it's a total screw up on my part, to be honest. I've even read some of them. I shouldn't keep taking out books when I have a backlog. That's not good. Yeah, it really isn't. Now I'm starting to copy her habit of training off quietly. Her awkwardness is very contagious for some reason. That said, I'm surprised. Yuko seems almost normal today, although every now and then her waitress-y nervous tics keeps popping back up. Come to think of it, she didn't act this way when I first met her. She was a little clumsy and neurotic, but it wasn't anywhere near this severe until Shizune, Misha, and I ran into her at Shanghai. It could be that Yuko has a complex about having kids from the school seeing her at waitressing. I guess it was a little odd for her to pick the closest cafe to the school to work in, then. In that case, maybe the place having so few customers could be considered a lucky break. Well, I'll get it. I'll return them right after school. As soon as possible, please. Wait. Can I ask you for one more thing? Sure, what is it? I have to go for a while, but I can't just leave the library empty. Sorry, but can I ask you to watch it while I'm gone? Just for a little bit. I'll be right back as soon as possible. You're a student counselor, so I'm sure if you did it, it would be okay. Alright, I'll do it. Don't worry, but... Thank you! Yuko quickly slides forward as she's so grateful she's about to give me a hug, but she stops 2 centimeters into it, which also just makes the gesture look extremely confusing. I'm also surprised that she can control her momentum so well since she seems kind of clumsy. So much has happened in so little time, but also so much to keep track of. Before I can say as much as you're welcome, she is already dashing off with the urgency of someone late to an appointment. That could be the case, but I wouldn't feel safe assuming so. It's Yuko, and she seems like the kind of person to treat everyone that way. Now that I'm in the library, I feel a bit silly. I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. Should I sit down like I normally would and read? It probably would do, but wouldn't meet Yuko's high standards. Maybe I should sit at a librarian's desk, and give anyone who comes in a stern and analytical glare. I use Shizune as a starting point, and practice it a couple of times in the mirrored surface of a pen. I think it looks pretty good. Frustratingly, no one comes in, so I give up on the idea quickly and decide to just go look for Hanako instead. It's deserted. I think I see someone, but the second I blink, whoever it is gone. As soon as I return to Yuko's desk and crack open an interesting looking book, a familiar person swings in front of me like a falling pendulum. Kenji? Who would I thought? Thief. Thank you for replacing Kenji. Hi, Chan. And Yuko. Misha shouts exuberantly, dragging an embarrassed Yuko behind her. Hi, Chan. Were you talking to yourself? On one hand, saying yes could make me look kind of crazy. On the other hand, if I blew Kenji's cover, he might go off and make me look crazy by association. I'd go with the latter option. Yes. That's okay, don't be embarrassed, Hi-chan. I do it too sometimes. When I'm alone, la la la. Nothing happened while I was gone. Absolutely nothing. It smells like grapes. I'm wearing grape-scented cologry. I lie blazingly and obviously. From her reaction, I'm going to assume that she knows I'm lying, or thinks I have an abysmal sense of colognies. Since the can of grape juice I drank from is still right there, it's likely to be the former. Fortunately, she doesn't ask any follow-up questions. What are you two doing today, ever? We had lunch together. Strictly business, a business lunch. I'm trying to picture Misha in a suit, having a business lunch with anyone. Somehow I just can't see it. Yeah, exactly. What kind of business? Would it want to be secretive if it was that? You don't know? Haha, it's nothing, it's nothing. It's normal for one part of the student council to not know what the other is doing. Hey, don't nothing, something like that. That isn't normal at all. In fact, it's bad. We're only 3 people. Yuko laughs nervously. She must be terrified. Misha says that you want to put posters in the library for the elections. Even though they're really far away, I guess it's okay. I don't know that I could even decide those kind of things. You can? Isn't that great? Aren't you happy? Yay yay! Misha grabs Yuko's hands and forces her to clap joyously. For herself, Yuko doesn't look very happy about learning that she has more responsibility and power than she previously thought. Hi Chan, since you're here you can help me put them up. Pulling out a giant stack of posters from her bag, she cuts them in half like a deck of cards and passes me the slightly smushed half. Shai-chan had a really good idea. We could put some flyers inside the books too. Then even if they try to ignore us, they won't be able to. They could even spring-load. That's a bad idea. Misha tries her best to convey the same tone Shizune used. It sounds close to the real thing, but also a little menacing. She was probably kidding. I liked it. No, please, not that. A super ultra aggressive marketing blitz. We're going to start going door to door to door to. That's a terrible idea. Misha pouts in her best Shizune impression, fingertips tapping together rapidly in annoyance. Hi Jan, you think every idea is terrible. Yeah, but that idea is too terrible. Too terrible to ignore. I can't have that. Hi Jan, that sounds like a challenge. Muttony. Muttony is bad, don't fight. It was just a joke. Okay, don't fight. The way Yuko sounds when she's trying to be firm makes me think of a kindergarten teacher. I suppose it makes her very persuasive in her own way. Putting up a poster is surprisingly hard simply because the library is already plastered with bulletin boards and flyers lining every couple meters, some of them in places so unlikely that I'd never noticed them before. Design which of them to peel off in favour of our own adds a lot of time to an otherwise simple job. By the time the bell rings to signal the end of lunch, Misha and I still have a sizable amount of posters left. As we leave, I decide to stick one right by the door. It must be the one that Misha did. It has a little drawing of Shizune on the bottom. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, another day closes. Okay folks, I think that is going to be where we're going to be ending off this episode if there's nothing too dramatic at the very start, which probably actually would be. Shizune heads off to go eat lunch by herself and doesn't come back. Well, I know that she probably made most of that work for herself and nobody else. Okay folks, we'll be coming back into this game in the next time. Hopefully, the last time around and this time around are the only times around where we get to see Shizune's father. I don't like him at all. I'm not gonna lie. I already explained it at the ending of the last episode, and I'll explain it again, but old mindsets are outdated in this world. 1940s kind of mindset ideology does not work out in the 2000s. It's just that trust, I feel, is more important than respect. Because if you don't have any trust, then there is no room for respect to even build. Thank you so much for watching, and see you all in the next time with Katawa Shoujo. Thank you so much for watching, and take care of yourselves.